So I want to go recording. All right, we are now recording. So yeah, we can just.
All right, give me 2 seconds.
All right, 1, 2. Where you at? Just kidding.
Jeez, man.
You said 2 seconds, man. Dude.
Jeez Louise. Jeez Louise. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, the dude from
Yes.
yeah, Simpson. like G Willikers.
Yeah, G focus. Yeah.
Everybody G Willikers.
My, my wife uses old sayings like that. Like she will say like, consarn it or like jinkies or something.
Oh wow, Velma. See Velma now? Okay.
I know, right? She would go into those little. I'm like, baby, did you actually say jinkies for real? Okay.
Jinkies.
And mean it.
Uh,
Mean it. You know? You mean jinkies.
For seconds. 30, 35, 40. No, 45, 47. No, okay. Just me. All right.
What are you doing?
We are plugged in. Today is a great day because we got brother John Jennings. John Jennings, brother John Jennings, you don't understand. It's been about
this journey started in 2018 and 2019.
Something.
So yeah. Well, okay, so the journey started in 2016. But when I found out about you, I found out about you in like 2019 with Bitterroot.
Right.
So yeah, it's been about a good 3 years coming along. I'm trying to get in contact with you.
Well, better late than never. And shoot, you lived on the other side of the world then, right? You were still over.
Yeah, on the East Coast.
On the East Coast. Yeah, like I was actually. So.
Oh, you were on the East Coast in 2019?
Well, not in 2019, but I used to live on the East Coast before I came out here.
For real?
In Buffalo.
Where about?
I was in Buffalo, New York. Yeah, for 6 years actually. I used to teach there, University of Buffalo, and SUNY. So I was an art teacher there for like 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and before that, Midwest. Before that, I was in Illinois for like 8 years as a teacher of art, and then before that, I was at Jackson State because I'm originally from Mississippi.
Oh, you was at Jackson State. You was at JSU.
Yeah. I'm an alum.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Class of, oh my God, 93. Class 93. Taught there for 4 years. Yeah. I'm from Mississippi, man, originally.
Brother, I was 1 year old in Daytona Beach, Florida in 1993. You dig it? Can you dig it?
Wow.
Yeah.
No, yeah, State, man, and taught there from 97 through like 2000 or so. I helped start their graphic design program.
Oh wow!
Mm-hmm. Actually, one of the things I'm really proud of is that I designed one of the logos that they used to use, called the Flying J logo.
Ooh.
Yeah, so they used it for a long time. Yeah, it used to have this this big J that would dip down, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That used to be that main logo. It was really cool to be working there and see your logo like plastered over everything. It's pretty cool. So like trucks.
I mean, what Coach Brown is doing for them boys, absolutely.
I have to say, man. I was like, wow, that's I don't know what to say. It's pretty amazing, actually.
He dedicated most of his salary to continuing to help fund the kids.
Yep.
And it's just crazy how we can't never have anything without I don't want to go too in depth, but I just want to make the point that it seems like white people always want to compete but don't have any challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm like, how is it that you want to compete against everybody, but then whenever you start losing, you want to change the rules or you want to get upset and I'm just like, like, what's the point of competing? Or, if it's gonna be like that, then how about you just do your thing over here, and we're gonna do our thing over here. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
I mean, yeah, and that's kind of like the credo of the HBCU, right? It's like, well, we need education, because Jackson State was founded to educate, freed slaves, right?
Mm,
That was its mission. It was founded in 1877 in Natchez, Mississippi, when Natchez was still the capital of Mississippi.
mm-hmm.
It moved, to Jackson later, and it was Jackson State College for many years, and I think in the mid 70s becomes Jackson State University. But yeah, I'm a proud alum of that school. I used to work for the
Mm-hmm.
school newspaper. Actually, that's why I used to do cartoons for the school newspaper, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I always bring stuff back to Jackson State. The first Black Kirby show was at Jackson State.
Oh wow.
Hmm. First Black Kirby show was there. I co-created an event with Dr. Rico Chapman called Planet Deep South that we
Mm-hmm.
jumped off there. So I basically brought like some of the top speculative scholars in the world to Jackson. You
Mm-hmm.
know, my friend Maisha Wester, she studies like the Black Gothic, right? She was like
Mm-hmm.
only your butt could get me to come to Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
She was like had never set foot in Mississippi before, and
Because it's very is it humid? I know it snows out there in Mississippi because I
in, in
saw
the
it
in the Delta maybe, but yeah, no, it's very humid. Yes, for sure.
very humid. I
Very humid.
can tell.
It's because of the river. Because of the river.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No,
Anyway,
man, it's okay. Okay, hang on, Rick. Let me do the introduction quick. So I'm gonna jump into the interview.
and of course, somebody outside doing the doggone. I feel like in California, somebody's always doing the yard. I was like,
Yeah, of course. Can you hear that? Is my background noise
well, can
loud?
you hear my background noise?
No,
Oh,
you're good.
good.
I,
Okay,
I, I
then we
got my
good.
Bluetooth in. I got my Bluetooth in.
Okay, well, there's someone's having their yard work done right now. But anyway, all right, cool. All right, if you can't hear it, I'm good. So,
Nah, no, we're good. We're good. Like my Bluetooth. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Yo, ladies and gentlemen, what is up, man? Trayvon Cover, respect my nerves, dude. We've been on a crazy hiatus, and please forgive any background noise y'all may hear. Me and brother Jennings, we both live in California, where the background noise is very, very loud. Somebody's always cutting grass. Somebody's always doing something. So please. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, today we have a very special guest. We got brother John Jennings
hey.
in the building. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
What's up, man? What's
The
up?
roof. The roof. The roof is on fire. That's right.
And it's gonna stay on fire because this is
Comes
California.
down. That's right.
We ain't got no
That's
water.
right.
Anyway,
We ain't got no water. We don't have any water. That's right.
I'm in a lot of
That,
trouble.
that's right. That's right. Listen, I could tell you this man resume. You can pull it up on Google. You know what DuckDuckGo. I don't know what you want to use. This brother is illustrator. This brother is a fighter. This brother does it all. Damn it. He does it all. Damn it. Okay. You want to talk about it? You want to compare him to an athlete? I look at him like a Magic Johnson. You know, I look at him like a Magic Johnson because it's magic. Okay, people, this brother right here, like I remember the first I think it was Bitter Root when I got introduced to you, brother Jennings, and I just love those quotes that you leave. Like like once you like read the comic at the bottom, like there's always or no, I think it's at the top too, but it's somewhere in the comic you would just leave like a good quote that you would say from like your own arsenal, and I would be intrigued by those, man, and also would watch your lectures. And I was kind of disappointed. You talked about depth lock, so you go so in depth, like we're gonna get into Afrofuturism in a second, man. Okay, we're gonna get into Afrofuturism, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But listen, tell people a little something about yourself, brother Jennings.
Okay. Thank you for having me, by the way.
Yes, sir.
Honored. I'm glad we get a chance to do it, and it's always great talking to you. So this is gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah. So my background is in art. I was an art professor for about 20 years or so. I was born and raised. We just established I was born and raised in Mississippi. I just turned 50. Well, actually, I'm about to be 53 in November. Now I think about it. And I don't know. I've always had a really strong interest in comics and storytelling, even since I was a kid, right? And
Mm,
yeah, so I started teaching right out of grad school. Like I was 27. Taught at Jackson
mhm,
State University for 4 years, and I was only the second African American to get tenure at the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. That was in 2008, and moved on there. I went to the University of Buffalo, where I taught for 6 years.
mm,
And all along, and then I did a fellowship at Harvard for a semester with Skip Gates's the Hutchins Center there, which
mhm,
made with you've ever seen like Skip Gates do the DNA tracing, you know what I'm saying?
mhm.
PBS. So I was in his center, for about a semester, and then me and my wife moved out here to
Okay.
California. So so that's the professor side of stuff. But I'm also an illustrator, publisher of comics, both independent and mainstream. I'm also a comic scholar, and so I basically study the comics media. In particular, I look at like race and constructions of identity. Um,
Mhm,
and one of my newer roles is as a curator of a line of comics dedicated towards edification of people of color called Megascope. And
mhm,
Megascope is based off of a device that W.E.B. Du Bois created in his science fiction story, which was written in 1909, called The Princess Steel. And it's a
mhm.
device that can see through time and space. And I just thought it would be a really cool name for a line of books. So yeah, so that's kind of so I do, like you said, I do a lot of things, but I had no idea that my love of comics would take me to a space where I would be integral into
Yeah.
different hats or whatever. So like for instance, what you're talking about with Bitterroot, right? Bitterroot, when I found when David Walker told me what the story was about, I was like, yo, you gotta let me do your back matter. So what I would do is after every issue, I would actually pull together essays. So I was editing the essays in the back matter, which we call bitter
Mhm,
truths, and we would have like quotes from Harlem Renaissance luminaries, and I would
mhm,
basically what I try to do is assemble some of the best scholars to talk about Black trauma and horror and all these different theoretical framings, and it was just
right.
a magnificent thing. And so they're doing like I think a 6 issue run or something. So I'll probably be doing that again for this new issue. But yeah, but that's something
Yay.
I do. But I think I probably like became I kind of broke wide as a creator when me and my friend Damian Duffy, my brother from another mother, um,
Mhm,
adapted Kindred by Octavia Butler into a graphic novel, and
mhm,
that was a huge success, which I'm still shocked at. and
mhm.
and then of course Parable of the Sower, and now whatever else book. There you go. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, so that's a bunch of my books that I've done. That feels weird. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
this is on the site. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I always come prepared. I always come prepared. You better believe I come prepared.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that's so
yeah.
that's me in a nutshell. I could go on about different aspects of what I do, but a lot of
Mhm,
my work this day has been aligned with what's been called Afrofuturism. We've seen a
mhm,
huge uptick in interest in what you would call Black speculative culture, and that's a mouthful, but
mhm,
Afrofuturism has become like a touchstone of not only like Black sci-fi, but Black horror, fantasy,
mhm,
Afro surreal, all these different things start with this term right now. So, that's
mhm,
kind of like where I am. So I teach 3 classes on Afrofuturism at my school now.
mhm.
3. One on horror,
Wow.
one on Black superheroes, and one on aesthetics. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. So that's a lot. So, so
All
yeah.
right. So, because I remember the Afrofuturism wave, if I'm correctly, started. I want to say in like 2018, if I'm not mistaken. Out in the San, or excuse me, I don't know. That's just where the drive of it really started to get pushed. And I forget her name. What is the woman that started to host like Afrofuturism like events or like little small meetings. I know she's from San Diego. I talked to her sometimes on Clubhouse. Oh my god, I can't remember her name off the top of my head.
Oh, wait a
Um,
minute. Okay, now let's see. Oh, you talking about sister sister Aria who did sister sci-fi? You talking about sister sci-fi?
I know she's a doctor. Like I know Keelan helped her start something in San Diego, and I know you did too.
Oh, San Diego. Oh, wait a minute. You talking about LaWarner Richmond?
Yeah.
Yeah, the shirt, Afrofuturism Lounge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I got invited. Yeah. I got invited. Yeah. I might be able to make an appearance. I might be able to make an appearance this weekend. Yeah.
Oh, it'd be good to see you.
Yeah.
I hope you can come down.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool. So yeah, you talking
Yeah.
about Richmond? Yes, yeah. So together, we kind of kicked off the first one. She's been the driving force behind, at the Afrofuturist Lounge. But yeah, the term was created and was coined in the 1990s, like 1993 or so, and by this actually a white scholar named like Mark Derry coined the term. And what he was looking at, this was around the beginning of like this thing called the internet, right?
I know, right?
When the internet was still in its nascent stages, he was kind of looking at like, well, how are Black people interacting with this technology, right? And he started to see kind of patterns, and so he also brought in stuff like music and science fiction. And really, what he was asking was like, well, where are the Black science fiction writers, right?
Right.
And so at the time, we was thinking about sci-fi in a particular way. And if you look at like say your classic sci-fi people, then you're probably looking at people like Stephen Barnes, Octavia Butler, and Steve Chip Delaney, right? And that's pretty much. And he talks to Chip actually in that essay. And I want to say,
wow.
yeah. What the original essay was called Black to the Future, and it was published in 1994 in this collection called Flame Wars. And it was the Flame Wars collection was a series of essays that were about like cyber culture, right? And Black to the Future, the essay that this term gets coined in, he actually interviews the late great Greg Tate, who was a master, social theorist, critical, and also musician. He talks to Trisha Rose, who wrote one of the first major books on hip hop culture called Black Noise, and then of course Stephen Delaney, who is a pioneering Black science fiction writer who was actually still with us in 80 now, and yeah, so he was kind of like trying to come up with a term that actually fit what he was thinking about, so it's looking at like how Black sci-fi use like the idea of the cyborg and other things to kind of talk about oppression and to kind of free ourselves from these ideas around oppression and disruptions that
right.
Caused by slavery, stuff like that, right?
Right.
And it starts to, and then of course Alondra Nelson, who is in Biden's cabinet right now, actually, she actually pushes it to another level with the social text book, and it's this book called Social Text, where she starts to build on top of some of those ideas and broaden them a lot, right? And then by the time we get to the early 2000s, that's when you get people like Janelle Monáe popping up and things like that, who are actually kind of channeling Black sci-fi and Afrofuturism through their music, and stuff like that.
Well, because I got a question real quick.
Yeah.
Would you consider Outkast to somewhat tap into Afrofuturism?
Oh yeah.
Because
okay,
but just I was like, hold on, hold on, we gotta, what I'm saying.
Well, no, that's the resurgence. That's the resurgence. Yeah, because here's the thing: is like I would even say like I could see traces of Afrofuturism in the videos of Hype Williams. You look at like I Can't Stand the Rain, with
Elliot, or George Clinton, or George Clinton.
Oh, no, George Clinton definitely. No, yeah, George Clinton. Yeah, so yeah, your early musicians are people like George Clinton and Sun Ra, right? Alice Coltrane, even John Coltrane. Yeah, no, these are people. Yes, definitely. I just kind of jumped over them because that's at the beginning, but I was talking because you mentioned like how it was right now, so yes,
right. Because definitely be on that Afrofuturism.
Yeah, because I think what happens is like honestly, what really jumped off this new interest in Afrofuturism, I think, is the election of Barack Obama.
You think so? I kind of feel like Black Panther.
No.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, because see, Black Panther is when the mainstream starts to realize it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So people like myself, I'm in the academy, right? And so, people in the academy or the university system, we started studying Afrofuturism again in the early 2000s. So, for instance, the first time I get introduced to the term is in 2008, right? I did this series of Black cyborgs. I can send you a few. And that's when I first started thinking about it. And so what starts to happen is that you have these think tanks. I actually created 2 think tanks called Astro Blackness with back in 2014, 2015, actually, which predates Black Panther. But the other thing too is that you start to have a bunch of folk who start to look at Afrofuturism differently. And I think one of the things there's several tributaries, I think, that cause it. One was the election of Barack Obama, because you know, up until that point, one of the only times you would see a Black man as president was in a sci-fi movie. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And usually,
or a horror movie. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
always a sci-fi horror, and a Black president is always behind the catastrophe. Like it's always something bad happening when there's a Black president. Like,
Right.
I don't appreciate the symmetry.
Well, yeah, but you see what I'm saying? That like that was so having someone like Barack Obama, who's a big nerd and a very smart man, but he's a huge comics fan and sci-fi geek, right? Which I thought was interesting. And so it feels like the future, right, to a certain degree. And the other thing is the democratization of tools. So up until that point, it was very expensive to get like Photoshop or like InDesign or something like that, right? And that starts to drop. That they actually start to offer discounts to people, particular schools and stuff like that. The other thing is that these communities of nerds like ourselves, like if it wasn't for the internet, we never have met, right? We'd probably be, just thinking that we were like, oh, we're thinking about all this cool stuff and not being able to talk to each other. So when you see like, so that and the proliferation of smartphones, being able to talk to people across the globe. The other thing is the rise of what they call the prosumer, right? The producer consumer. So because basically you have the tools now to actually like produce content and also consume it simultaneously, like we're doing right now. This is
right.
So then all these different things start to actually become like a push towards this Afrofuturist mind state. But you know what the main thing was too? One of the things that pushes first, the movement for Black Lives, or this idea around So what we've always said is that this Afrofuturist bent, this Black speculative bent, is just the new revolution of what's always been happening in our country. So if you look back and say like the new Negro movement, that's what they called it back in the day, was the Negro movement.
Right.
You call it the Harlem Renaissance, but it was called the Negro movement. And so art came out of there. And if you look at some of the work that they were making, it was highly speculative, right? I mean, people like Du Bois and like Zora Neale Hurston and people like that. Then the next time you see it come around is the Black Arts Movement, which is part of the Black Power movement, right? So whenever you see like a political movement, you always have a movement that is actually connected to it. Now, that's artistic. Now, what's interesting about this too is that Derry, back in the day when he coined the term Afrofuturism, he put comic books into that collective back in the day, but for some reason it got separated. I think because people still look down upon the form or whatever. But now, what I've tried to do is reconnect comics to Afrofuturism. You know what I'm saying?
Right, like the Death Locks. I mean, like the Death Locks. I think Zero is a white person with a black person's conscience in it. But Zero kind of fall under that same.
Oh yeah, Zero, yeah, it does because he's using technology to complicate race. You know what I'm saying? I would say definitely. But also, of course, all the milestone books, right? The
milestone books too. Shouts out to Mike Pond Smith too. Cyberpunk.
Oh, for sure. Cyberpunk. Oh yeah, and also Tribe.
Tribe as well.
So basically, what we're talking about is like Afrocentric stories of speculation that center on Black liberation and Black futurity. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're talking about. Not only are Black people going to be in the future, we're thriving. We are the future.
Right.
And because one of the things that's kind of wild about it is like when we talk about people who used to be technology, right? Because we used to be, our ancestors were technology. We were an extension of the master's whim, right?
Right.
What happens when people who used to be technology now have the ability to wield technology? There you go. Yep. Particularly like the Glenn McDuffie run, when he starts to talk about like double consciousness theory and stuff like that, because it's no, it's funny because that Devlock predates the coinage of the term Afrofuturism. It's one of the most Afrofuturist things I've ever seen, because you have a character like Michael Collins. Michael Collins is who is the second Devlock, right? The Black pacifist who is a genius computer programmer whose brain gets hijacked by his employer because he realizes he's making a weapon of mass destruction in the form of a cybernetic dreadnought called Deathlock, right?
Right.
Yeah, so his brain gets hijacked and put into the Deathlock machine, and but his body is also kept alive too. By the way, that's the other thing that was a huge reveal. So that's double consciousness right there. His brain is in another body, and his physical body is alive. But then there's a third consciousness. He's actually able to project himself into cyberspace. And I'm like, whoa, that's Fanonian triple consciousness right there. I was like, whoa, yeah. So
tapping into multiple planes.
Exactly. And he can hack into different technologies and stuff. And I was like, sure, that's one of the most Afrofuturist things I've ever seen. But then you also have stuff like Mantis from back in the day,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mantis as well.
Yeah, we have especially that first movie, man. I mean, where he's actually like fighting against. Well, he actually starts off as a very conservative black technologist who is paralyzed by a stray bullet during a riot, and then he actually like builds an exoskeleton, becomes a crime fighter in a black neighborhood. Like, wow. And it actually exposes corruption in his city. That's yeah. So you have this is 1990 something, right? This is like around it's got like 91 something, 92. I don't know, I forgot when it came. But, Dennis Cowan and Reginald Hudlin actually helped out with that show too, by the way. They actually
wow.
Yeah, they were actually either in the planning stages of it or because I remember like Dennis talking about it. I think he maybe did some designs for it or something like that. Yeah. So these are like some of the first inklings of that. But then you look at comics, you got to look at like you got to look at the work of Dawood Anyabwile and his family with Brother Man. You got to look at like Tim Fielder's early work because he'd been in the game longer than people realize. Actually, Tertier Henry. Mashindo Kumba's work, the Ania brothers, brothers from Ania. So they're building a speculative vibe in the early night in comics that we look at. But then science fiction and comics goes even further back. I don't even get it. That's a whole nother visit.
Right, it's a whole different ball.
A whole other visit. Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? I feel you.
Yeah. So I think that to your point though, I think so for us, we had been thinking about Afrofuturism for years before Black Panther. So I think Get Out and Black Panther were the two because I look at Get Out sometimes as an Afrofuturist horror story, because it is about technology,
Right.
Yeah, because basically it's like a fictitious sci-fi story too, but it bends more dark, right?
Right.
Yeah, because it's sarcastic and it's like it's making a comment about the nature of race and stuff like that. Whereas like Black Panther is like kind of pseudo utopic,
Yeah, it's just like, ooh, yeah, look at this. Like, man, okay, so I want to Can you see me? My phone's not functioning.
Yeah, I can see.
My phone's not functioning. I went and got it fixed at this place, and
Oh, hello. You went out. Yeah, you got.
They fixed my phone. They fixed my phone, but they didn't fix my phone. So you gotta bear with me, man. And shout out to Chuck Brown, man. I finally had got Chuck on the phone, and then my old iPhone I had malfunctioned on me then. So I'm probably gonna be leaving iPhone soon. And they can't be messing with my damn interviews. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Chuck, man. I love me some Chuck Brown, man.
Oh yeah, Chuck Brown, awesome. Yeah.
If you got that man personal number, bro, always hit him up and just shout him out. Because we all be going through things. We always need some encouragement to just keep doing what we do.
I love Chuck. That the Bitterroot team to me, was just all of them were really dope, and I really enjoyed his Black Manta run too. By the way, Chuck Brown, yeah, good folk, good brother, good people. And you kind of went out again.
Okay, see, I told you it's my phone. Like I'm literally not doing anything, and my
there you go. You're back again.
It's fighting me.
Yeah, but when it goes out, can you? I think I can.
I can still hear you. I can still hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So what other questions you got? Because I could talk all day about Afrofuturism. I literally do it for a living. So it's like
right. What? Okay. So this is something I'm putting in my documentary. I away from the cons, and the cons was, it probably wasn't a good idea to come out with a comic book run in the '90s because it was just bad timing. Like I don't want to say people, currency was low, but I do know like around 1995, the cost of paper went up, and like hence one of the reasons why Milestone relationship with DC got you know hurt because DC was like, all right, well, we're making money off of this, we are, but we also I don't know, like like we're helping them, and we should be focused on Batman, Superman. Batman, Superman is what matters to DC. Not some black company that we just decided to do business with. And really, what it was just trying to you know establish a relationship so they could essentially try to buy Milestone out like they do everybody else. Like how they did what I think was it Vertigo?
Uh-huh.
I think they bought out Vertigo. They bought out everybody. Like it's a lot of products that's not originally DC products. They just got bought out and then they just get sidelined. I'm like, we literally saw that with when Dwayne McDuffie allowed them to lease the Milestone characters. Like they literally didn't do anything. Only person used was static. Like when Dwayne McDuffie decided to do something with it, working with DC, they had did the Universal Collide, the revised version, and it was just now my question to you was, how do you? I kind of went down a rabbit hole, but how do you compare the black comic creators renaissance in the '90s? Because there's a lot of black comics that was out that came out.
Yes.
Not just Tribe and Milestone. You had and here and Har. You had Brother Man. You had let me see.
You had something like the LA Phoenix. You had
LA Phoenix, David Brown. You had
all the Turtles books like Malcolm 10 and Sister Girl and that you also had stuff like Black Man. Well, that came out in the '80s though. The Black Man book.
Yeah, Black Man.
And of course, all the brothers at Nia. That's like 6 creators there, including people like the great Roosevelt Pitt. Created Purge. So
Purge. Yeah, Roosevelt. Shouts out to Roosevelt.
Yeah, Hero. There was a lot of like more Afro. There's the other thing too. Is like this is the rise of the idea, like a lot of the ideas around Afrocentricity in the public space too. Pan African thought really takes hold. People are looking at looking to Africa for inspiration. That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you do see a lot of these really black characters popping up. And you also had stuff where Marvel was doing like a lot of experimental things too, with like those music comics that they did, like the Onyx books and stuff like that.
Prince,
exactly. So they were kind of playing around with like that too.
Yeah, but I'll support them because that's just an agenda. You know what I'm saying? That's just an agenda.
Yeah,
look how many black characters.
Jenna's making money. So
that's true. That's true. What I'm saying, look how many black characters DC has.
Yeah.
Like, and how many of them actually get used? They don't use Black Superman.
Yeah, it's a conversation that I have a lot with people as far as like because like Marvel has almost 300 black characters, for instance.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But it's like okay, let me back up because your initial because that's another rabbit hole. Let me stop that. Your initial question was about the Black comics renaissance. So again, I think it goes back to some of the other stuff we were talking about. So what's happened, for instance, I think one of the biggest things that actually changed the game was printing on demand. I forgot about printing on demand, where you can actually like create your own content, put it on the web. That and actually being able to do web comics and actually be connected to other modes of distribution. Because honestly, like the direct market has always been like very, very leery of like any content that's not selling a number of units. The other thing too is that comics are very difficult to make and produce on a monthly basis, right? And I think a lot of times we're the victims of nostalgia. We want to put out a monthly book, but they're very difficult. So I think the model actually is not made for somebody who's independent, because a lot of times brothers and sisters are making comics after hours, right? So you might be you look at someone like Chuck Collins, right? Chuck Collins used to be a bouncer, right? So he would basically be bouncing people all night, and then
they get home
and they go home and make comic books. You know what I'm saying? you know, it's always a side hustle. You know, when you have to support yourself, it's a passion, right? And very seldom, you know, did we have the capital to actually like, you know, consistently put out a book. You know, that's why a lot of those early books have like really low print, like really low issue runs and stuff. I mean, one of the longest running one, of course, is Brother Man. I think they did 11 issues at first, right? Something like that. So yeah, so I think a lot of it is about supply chain, getting the word out. I would say like a lot of the African markets that they used to do, like the Pan Africanist markets back in the day, were like, you know, it was very similar to like the Chitlin circuit, where you would basically take a black product to a black, um, like a black like you know market or a space where you could trade with other creators and do it that way, you know, and that's why like a comic like Brother Man like sold like 750,000 copies, right? Because they would go to these Pan Africanist like you know markets and stuff, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, so I think one, you know, the other thing too is like lack of access to these books. Like, how do you get them into these spaces? I mean, after the direct market starts, you know, it's difficult for people to get the comics. You know,
Right.
this is something too, because I remember your post you made the other day about the '80s and about comics in the '80s and comics now. Um, I recently like I had my nephew Jaden was staying with us for a few weeks here in the summer. He's 14, right? Huge fan of Star Wars, huge fan of Spider-Man, X-Men, whatever, right? He asked me and said, "Oh, Uncle John, you going to Comic Con? Can you pick me up some comics?" And I was like, "Well, we can actually just go to a comic book store, right?" And he's like, "Wait a minute, there's stores that actually just sell comic books," and I was like, "Yes."
Oh no, nothing.
He had no idea what the direct market was, you know what I'm saying? Because he lives in a small town in Virginia. I think the closest comic book store would probably be like Richmond, right?
Mhm.
So what I'm saying is like a lot of times it's about access to stuff too. So I think what's happened now is that we've broken down um, the access. The internet has changed the game. I think the internet and then being able to actually have conversations, you have these massive fan followings, you know, on YouTube and all these other spaces that kind of circumvent traditional publishing methods. That's what it is.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you have a place like Peep Game, you know, Minor Latif's Peep
Yeah,
Game.
I was just about to say Pete game.
There's
I
nothing but black
always
comics on
recommend
it.
people.
Yeah.
I always recommend Pete
Me
game, bro.
too.
Like, man,
Me too.
you get on Pete game. If you got like $20, and you get yourself a membership, you good to go, man. You can get yourself about a good 10 comics.
For
You
sure, and
know,
this is all black owned, black you know, black content. You know, and they're a digital distribution company. They're like you know, Blacksology. They're like black
yeah,
psychology, right?
yeah. You put it on your laptop. You got a Mac. You got a computer. You got a phone. You put it right there on your phone, and you good to go.
Good to go. And then you have some. Then you have a place like Black Comics Distro, right? Which is Milton Davis. Who else? Andre Owens and Jason Reed.
Mm,
So this is a
mm.
black owned comics distribution company, like printing company too, right? Because Jason's also a printer.
Concrete does too. Concrete does too, but
And
it's just
concrete, yeah, yeah.
yeah, concrete does too. It's just that they kind of like they can help you, you know, like just work with them by helping you publish and print your stuff, or if you wanted to join the concrete family, man, what they're doing some great, man. Shouts out to Alonzo, man. They're doing some crazy stuff
No,
with just how
I
many
really
people.
dig I really dig the work that Concrete's doing.
Yeah,
Yes, but I'm saying we have some very now the skill level too. Like for instance, so you have this stuff like access to the internet and stuff like that has changed things, but also access to how you do the business has changed too.
mm,
Now you have people like talking about this is how you ink a comic, this is how you print a comic. You know, back in the day, you had to go to New York to work for Marvel Comics. Now you got people working
right.
all over the damn
And DC too.
DC too, exactly. You would have to like go and draw like some pages. These days, they're like, "Where your comic book at?" Seriously, they expect you
Right,
to have done a comic you know.
right,
Yeah, like we obviously, if you want to be a comic book artist, there's nothing stopping you. So, where your comic book, you know. So
right.
everything is the level of production is greater. Um, and the other thing too is that you know we have these a system of like black comic book conventions now that
Mhm,
specifically you know, one of you know, I helped create one of the largest, probably the largest one, which is one in Harlem, right? Because I
mhm.
co-founded the Schaumburg, you know, and also
Oh wow. Big
yeah,
up to that, man.
thanks. Yeah, it's me, Jerry Kraft, Deirdre Holman, and Jonathan Gales are the co-founders of that event. And
Mhm.
of course, like the Black and Brown Comic Arts Festival, but you also have like Ekbach, you know, Motor City Motor City Black Age,
Motor
MechaCon,
City Black Age.
MechaCon.
You got black collectors out here in Carson, California too. They're black on the comic book store.
Oh, which one?
Right,
What's the name of it?
Black collectibles.
Black Collectibles. Oh, by the
Yeah,
way,
black collectibles.
we're supposed to be doing a Black Comic convention in October at the CAM, the California African American Museum. Want to do one actually?
Okay, send that to me.
I will. As soon,
Send that to me.
it's supposed to be on the 29th of October, so I need to circle back to them. But soon. But yeah, it's gonna be totally. It's probably gonna be free and open to the public. And that's a nice location for it. So I think those are different ways that it's a very different thing now. Now back in the day, Tertel On Lee, he's credited with coining the term like the black age of comics, right? And I would argue now is like the golden. It's almost like the golden black age. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
because
right.
Back day, he was on the right track. He was like, yo, okay, you got the golden age, you got the silver age, you got the bronze age. What about the black age, right? But you weren't able to put out a consistent amount of like quality books at the time, right? But now, I mean, you look at like Ray Comics. Look at what T.J. Sterling and them are doing. They're killing it too. It's like these are beautiful books,
Right.
Beautiful books, and consistent, putting out work consistently. I mean, look at Kid Comics. Look at Keith and Jones.
Keith, shouts out to Keith. Yeah,
exactly.
I love me some Keith and Jones.
For real,
love me some Keith and Jones. Man, dude, like I mean, we could just go like pick for pat, just what I'm saying, different names of. I'm trying to find this damn post. I can't find my post, man. I'm on Sorry, I've been over here trying to find this damn
Which
post.
one?
I don't wrote. I don't wrote so many, man.
I know.
I don't wrote so many articles, man. It's just trying to open up that like man, one of the things I've been fighting for so hard on Clubhouse is just getting black people talking about comic books.
Yeah.
Or just nerd things in general.
Right.
And it's just like you got to start them somewhere and then start to slowly guide them into some things, because if you just jump into it and just keep jumping into it, like maybe like 5 or 10 may catch on out of the 50 that I talk to, but if I slowly breadcrumb them into it, what I'm saying, I could probably get about 100, 200, people, at a time, just slowly breadcrumbing them, because I'm like, dude, like y'all talking about the Black Panther movie, and my issue with that was so many people got up and it turned into like this monumental kind of black thing. I'm like, bro, this is not black owned. I don't understand why so many black people are getting up and supporting this. Because if you telling me all we got to do is get together, market the hell out of an idea and push it behind a black narrative, we could have been did that. You know what I'm saying? That'd be black money. That'd be money coming back to the black community compared to putting money in them. Look, they got $1.1 billion, and only a certain amount of people on that project was able to renegotiate their funds to get a bigger pay cut. Chadwick Boseman was one of those people, and Michael B. Jordan. And I'm saying that whole damn cash should have got renegotiated. And the fact that we only had one project, wasn't no cartoons, wasn't no video games, none of that. Spider-Man had 3. Like I mean, they didn't come out with one goofy cartoon, but I was like, listen, casual fans not necessarily gonna read the comic. They'll see it. They might, oh, okay, that's a comic, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Comic fans might go read the comic. People read Shuri, people read that little one-off that Killmonger had. People.
That was pretty good though. It was good. Yeah, no, I mean that's the thing. Is like yeah, I definitely see your point. I mean, and we don't have enough control over those spaces and connection with those spaces. And actually, even Disney, Marvel, they had no idea what they had either. You know what I'm saying? They totally underestimated what the numbers were going to be on that, to the point where it upended Hollywood. There were movies that were coming out that were losing money because everybody was still going to see Black Panther. They could have started theater. They weren't ready for it, and so so I wondered, like, this is something I was talking to a friend of mine about the other day. Actually, is like the most important aspect of Black Panther is the concept of Wakanda, right? That's where this kind of pseudo-utopic Afrocentric space, is probably what, because people have colonized it. It's almost like Black people are like, you know what? We understand that we didn't make this thing, but these black people didn't make this movie, right? And we're gonna just take Wakanda. You know what I'm saying? And actually, you know, like Wakanda Con and all these different things. Well, like where's Wakanda? Like Wakanda is like this concept that really resonated with people. That they've kind of that we've kind of colonized, you know, with the imagination, you know, of what that could be. You know, so yes, we're like, yeah, you know, we are on a monetary scale that definitely, you know, we gotta renegotiate some stuff. But there's also these things about like that are dividends that are being paid off where, you know, kids of color, you know, get to see themselves in this space, which is unprecedented.
See, I gotta talk to you. See, because we're going down that rabbit hole now. This is where it get interesting, brother Jennings. Okay, so I got 2 points I gotta make. Damn, I gotta make it real quick before I forget them. I know one of them is even if these are rumors, I'm still concerned. Because I already knew this movie was gonna be trash. And I've been telling people, I don't know if you can see on Facebook, I've been telling people Black Panther 2 movie will not be good. I keep telling people this Black Panther 2 movie is not gonna be good. I'll be on Clubhouse. Black Panther 2.
Yeah, I've seen the post.
I keep telling people this movie not gonna be good, and what it's gonna do is it's gonna piss off the casual fans that just want to jump on the bandwagon and watch the damn film. And then it's gonna piss off the comic nerds. And that's a recipe for disaster. Like you can piss off the comic nerds because the comic fans is gonna go watch the movie anyway. But when you piss it off both, yeah, it's a double whammy. Because I'm like, the fact that I believe they knew this man had cancer, hence the reason why they wrote the movie how they wrote it. You know, they made everybody around him important that ain't necessarily even need to be important. You know, and you kind of sidelined them in his own movie. But the part that got released, whether it's true or not, I'm concerned. You know, the fact that you're gonna just, by T'Challa, I already knew Shuri, you know, became the Black Panther. That's cool, but I would have rather them focused on her than focus on freaking Riri Williams. I'm like, bro, Riri not even from Wakanda. You know, like I
found that was very. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Riri Williams, by the way.
I like her too sometimes.
Yeah, but I don't understand her connection. And yeah, that was weird to me. So, but
you gonna put in the Black Panther. My question was though, from an intellectual perspective, I don't appreciate what's being like the undertone message of what, you know, like what I feel like they're trying to imply, and what that is telling little boys that you're not important. You know, young Black boys, you're no longer important. You know, we care more about focusing on Black women. So, yeah, we're just going to move you to the side. And I'm like, bro, you can't get rid of people's heroes. That's like Batman just go ahead and push Batman to the side and turn the whole Black family to women. Listen, I'm all for women empowerment. I never said I wasn't for women empowerment. But what I don't want to support, what I'm not going to support, is you sidelining my character so that your character could look better. And that's what I can't get down with. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think there's some validity to what you're saying because, you know, it doesn't have to be either or. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm going to be both.
There's enough space where you're going to be like, I can love Shuri and T'Challa, you know, which I do. I actually like both characters quite a bit. You know, they represent different constituencies. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so I think that, man, is it a bandwidth issue? I have no idea. But I do think it was a mistake for them not to
recast them.
I think it's ridiculous, actually. But you know, I don't have control over what Feige's thinking about. You know, since he.
Right, but
I'm almost hoping that he's lying. You know what I'm saying? I'm almost hoping that like it's a stunt. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh man, because
I hope you better figure out. I'm like, look,
I think it's a mistake. I think it's a mistake.
Right. I mean, if you told me that T'Challa died because Wakanda gets flooded, which I'm pretty sure is going to happen in the movie.
Well, yeah, I mean that's kind of what happens in the comics, and Namor, yeah. So
yeah, I'm saying like, hear me out. Like this word, I'll be brief about it because we got some other stuff we got to go down with this rabbit hole of Black comic characters. But if you told me he died, saving the city because the city got flooded, because they also were gonna kill off Angela Bassett in this movie, and I'm like, that's just contracts. They just cutting ties with a lot of people because they don't want to pay him. And I'm like, bro, y'all some cheap, bro. Just the fact that you knew this man was gonna die and we just roll past it, like, no, you can't roll past that. So like, I hope you better be lying. You better be lying, like, dude. especially at the Doctor Strange happening, where we have incursions where people can potentially jump from their universe to our universe. You know,
Yeah,
you can't tell me that
you
a
can't.
T'Challa can't come from another universe. You can't tell me a T'Challa is
Bro,
born.
I mean, honestly, I mean, one of my favorite T'Challas is the gunslinger T'Challa. I love that. I love that character, man.
Oh wow, wow,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah. I
That's
feel it.
the other
Yeah,
thing too, man. I love the gunslinger. I like that. But the other thing too is, there's other way. We have to remember too, like a really easy way for them to recast it. They could actually have Shuri be the center of the story, but also have a previous Black Panther, like she's like from the past could be involved too, because the Black Panther is a mantle, right? There's been passed
yeah,
down from generation to generation. There's so many. Or
yeah.
future Black, you could recast it in the future where Shuri's an old lady, and and you have a future Black Panther. There's so many ways you could do it because it's a mantle. It's not one person. And
Right.
so
But
you
he could have just went to the Acropolis. If you would have told me
yeah.
that, he dies at the beginning of the movie and this journey is about him going to the Acropolis. And somehow, some way, I don't know, somehow, some way, his spirit like goes into, the Black Panther that came in to our universe from an incursion.
And
You could have had Storm pull up.
oh
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, or
You
possessed.
could have,
It could be almost like the lower possessed, like in voodoo, right, where you possess a body, that kind of thing.
yeah, like we saw Doctor Strange take over a
A
dead
zombie.
body.
We take a
Yeah, we literally saw him take over a body. So how come
exactly.
he couldn't puppetize somebody else's body and just his spirit, like went into that person's body? Like he could, like he took, like when he went to the Acropolis and became the king of the dead and got all the insight and all the formula, Black Panthers, the Black Panther that came from another universe.
Yep.
He just went into that person's subconsciousness. And
There's so many ways, man. Yeah, and see, that's what I love about fan fiction is that we can rock it. So the issues that I have with Black Panther and stuff like that, I worked them out with Lion Man. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been working on the Lion Man books.
okay,
Yeah, because Lion Man is a character that was created by Black people for Black people.
uh-huh.
1947. Are you familiar with Lion Man, right?
I've heard of him. I'm
So
looking him
check
up
it.
right
So,
now
so,
for the people to see.
so check it out. So you're familiar with all Negro comics, right?
Yes, I'm familiar with. Yeah,
Yeah.
Lobo. You talking about Lobo and all them, right?
No, not Lobo. No, Lobo was, that's Tony Tallarico. He's one of the first. He's the first Black character to have his own book. Yeah, he's a Western.
Okay.
Lion Man was one of the. So All Negro Comics was created in 1947, right? And this was put out. Well, yeah, that's my version of it. That's one of my versions of them. So All Negro Comics was created by a gentleman named Orrin C. Evans from Philly. That's a totally different one, not that guy. So, but yeah, down at All Negro Comics, you see it.
So crowd.
That's pretty. Yeah. So what ended up happening was they put out this one collection of comics that featured characters of color, Black characters from different types of genres, right? That's him right there. So
Which one?
yeah, with the headband. Yeah, that's him.
Okay.
Yeah, so Lion Man was an American scientist who was sent to the Gold Coast of Africa to guard a mystical mountain of uranium from poachers, right? And I'm like, what? So in some ways, he is like proto Black Panther. This is before the Black Panther.
Pre Black Panther.
Right. And the other thing that's really interesting about the character is that he's public domain. So he's in the public domain. So that means we can go back and actually work on his character and actually build him out. So what I did is I pretended like the character was never had continued to be in publishing. I developed him into more of a superhero, like more of a T'Challa style character, right? So I have various versions of him. So that's my version that's inspired by the Phantom right there. So but yeah, what's really interesting about it is that it takes place on the Gold Coast. That's Ghana, right? So that's a particular African culture that you can build from. It doesn't have to be cobbled together from different from different cultures like Wakanda, because Wakanda doesn't exist, right? Ghana is real, what I'm saying? So you can actually build from so this is a piece I wrote about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I actually have various versions of him. So I have one that's a dream that fights evil in dreams. I got a version of him that's like the very much based off of like a Black Panther kind of feel. So I so that's the version right there where he actually is kind of like more inspired by T'Challa right there. You know,
Okay.
yeah, that's one. And we actually published a book based on this version right here, with the United Way. Actually, I can send you a PDF of it. It's in the Met.
Yeah, send me that. Send me that. Yeah, I'll definitely read that.
Yeah,
I'll definitely read
so All Negro Comics was pioneering. But here's the thing: guess what happened? Once the mainstream figured out what they were going to do, they wouldn't sell the materials to continue publishing.
that. Oh, they hate it.
Right. So they couldn't get paper to print, and stuff like that, or ink and things like that. So they actually the second.
And this was in the 90s, or this is now? I'm talking about
This is
now.
1947.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
so basically, when the mainstream white creators got wind of this, they're like, oh, we need to shut this down now. Because think about what would have happened. We're talking about this is the first major Black independent, this
Comic company.
yeah, back in the day. This is back to so by doing that, they totally derailed, you know, um the genesis of a whole new like way of making, media for us,
See,
right?
they always hating, brother. They always hating. And I don't want to get into like the in-depth
No,
politics.
I don't either. But so what I'm saying is that, yeah, I don't really fret too much about the Marvel stuff, because it's like, well, they're gonna do what they're gonna do, and I'm working for them right now doing a project with Angelique Roche, where
I get
we
that
are,
money.
yeah, where we are doing a whole book. It's called My Superhero is Black, and it's a collection. It's a nonfiction collection of like ideas around their Black superheroes from the 1950s to current day.
Mm-hmm.
She's been phenomenal. Angelique Roche is amazing. She's one of the driving forces behind Marvel's Voices, where we're actually seeing
Mm-hmm.
characters of color being created by creators who are of the same race and ethnicity and sexual preference, what have you, as the characters. That's what they've been doing. And actually,
Right.
up for an Eisner for the one about the Asian characters. Is up for Eisner right now, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
yeah, so she's been amazing. Like, she's an amazing researcher, and we've become really good friends working this project together. Because actually, after I signed a contract to do this book with Simon Schuster, my son was diagnosed with autism. You know what I'm saying? So it's been really rough, man, over these last,
Man.
we're talking like 30 hours of therapy a week,
Yeah.
but he's wonderful. But she has been like the backbone of like getting this stuff done. So we're talking 236 characters. A lot of things that we're writing about is contextualizing why these characters exist, what inspired them, what was going on in the media at the time, and like there are certain aspects of these characters do well and other parts where they don't, that kind of thing too. Because as you know, most of these characters at the time were being written and created by white men, right?
Right.
But then you have someone like a white woman like Joe Duffy, who wrote the hell out of Power Man and Iron Fist back in the day.
Right. I mean, because it's just all about perspective. And
Exactly.
like it's all about perspective.
Yeah, and so you have people like Don McGregor who built a lot of the things we love about Black Panther into the story. Like, he created Eric Killmonger. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And then you have creators like Reggie Hudlin, who really kind of streamlines T'Challa, in a modern sense. You have people like Christopher Priest, who created the Dora Milaje. You know what I'm saying? And,
Priest, we got to talk, Priest. Priest, have you watched this interview? We got to talk, brother. Because why did you make the White Wolf? The White Wolf is not necessary. You do not need to make no white man in no Black Panther suit.
Well, honestly, before you, and if you do talk to him, because what I always thought was him critiquing Tarzan. That's what I always I always thought the White Wolf as him making fun of Tarzan, because that's what he is. He's but he's not found by quote unquote apes. He's found by these technologically advanced Black people who raised him. You know what I'm saying? I was like, well, this is Tarzan. and they also weaponize his whiteness. That's what's interesting.
Right.
Too, which I think,
they use Everett Ross like that too.
They do.
Everett Ross uses T'Challa uses him as a double agent. He go back and spy on the U.S.
Yeah. So it's I think I definitely see your point, but I also think that I think it's very subversive too.
It's prudence behind why the character is there. I don't know, man. I love me some Christopher Priest too, man. Chris Cross said, Chris Cross. Chris Cross. He said working with Priest was equivalent to working with Dwayne McDuffie. It's like they alternate universes, they alternate versions of each other.
Interesting.
But just that complex intellect is just beyond, normal understanding.
I can see that being the case. We actually interviewed him about his work for the book, actually, because we did do some interviews with people for this book. But yeah, but back to the thing, it's like I really try not to. At the end of the day, the agenda that Disney and them have is to make money, and so they're going to actually like try to capitalize off of, and they've always done that though. This is like Luke Cage came out of the out of the black exploitation craze, right?
Yeah.
Shaft with superpowers, but sometimes the right people write him, and he becomes a very positive character, right? So I think we're working in a corporate structure. We actually are playing a game with like these massive companies, and the other thing too, like you saw that I commented on your post about the whole 1980s 2000 thing, is that Marvel Comics, they're not a comic book company. They don't.
Business.
They're not. They're part of a multi-billion-dollar transmedia giant. So like,
they're not a comic company no more.
They can totally shut down. They don't have to make any more comic books and still make billions of dollars because, like, for instance, case in point, remember I told you about my nephew. He didn't even know that there was comic book stores that existed, right? But a huge Spider-Man, Star Wars fan, whatever. My wife is a big ass like X-Men fan, right? So when the movie came out, she was like, "Oh my God, Wolverine, Storm!" She was all about it, right? Didn't know that there were comic books that existed. You know why she was a fan?
The movies.
The cartoons.
Oh, the cartoons. Ah, yeah.
Yeah. So she
That's like Static Shock.
Yeah, she grew up on the cartoons, right? So she was like, she had no idea that there were comic books at all. So what I'm saying is that there's no such thing as mainstream comic books. That doesn't exist.
Right. That don't exist no more.
My mantra is like, if your mama don't know what it is or your grandmama don't know what it is, it ain't mainstream.
Right.
It ain't mainstream.
Right.
So if it hits these other spaces, like, and they know this, right? So they can actually take a character like Riri Williams or what have you, or Moon Knight. Moon Knight is an obscure. I love Moon Knight, by the way. I love that character. They can take an obscure, like, he would be like he's probably like a B-level character now, but back in the day, he was a C-lister. You know what I'm saying? He was not a. I love those really.
Not really important.
Yeah, he wasn't a bit as big. He was like their Batman, right? Different writers have taken him and turned him into like some really great stories and stuff, but I was like shocked that they made it into a TV show. I was like, what? Now everybody's like, Moon Knight.
I like how they do that one personality at the end, because just depending on who's writing them, he got about 5 personalities.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I love
3 or 4. Yeah.
I was that end credit scene saved that ending for me. I was like, oh, well, Jake got it covered then. Jake like
he gonna write an email saying he gonna get it done.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so the other thing that I think is interesting too, and I see this happen a lot, is that we as consumers of these characters, we see the whole character, right? We see the movies, the cartoons, the comic books as one entity, right? That's how, because we're interacting with the character, but these are different aspects of the same character. Whereas Marvel, Disney, they look at it, and someone explained it to me like this. So we look at intellectual property. Intellectual property is like an apartment building, right? On every floor is a different subsection of that intellectual property, and in every floor is a closet or a space that starts to hack it up. You see what I'm saying? So like, Marvel Comics is just one aspect of a massive like intellectual property licensing business, right?
Right.
So and all these different versions of the characters exist simultaneously. It's really tripped out, And so it's hard for it because we get really passionate about one aspect of it, but what we do it is really niche. There's still people out there that know. Like, okay, another thing happened, right? I have a really good friend. Her name is Lene Denise. She's very talented musicologist and DJ, right? And she was here, and we actually were at a function together. She said, "I really love that Black Panther movie." She's not a comic book fan at all, and never heard the character. She said, "I really love the Black Panther movie," right?
Oh,
that's how she was. She was like, "Man, the movie is." And she said, "But why was that white dude?" He said, "Why was Everett Ross? Who was that guy? Why was he in that?" And I was like, "Well, he kind of represents the connection to the rest of the movies."
Right.
You know what she said?
What
rest of the movies? She had no idea that there were 10 years of movies. She was like, "Wait, what?" I said, "Yeah, no, this is an entire cinematic universe that's created. This is one component." she was like, I have no idea. So even with something as big as the MCU, people are still very much like into what they're into, you know.
Right. Okay. So I got a question for you. I got a question for you. I got a question for you.
Yeah, go
Do
ahead.
you think that Static Shock can pull off what Black Panther did?
Oh,
And I think it could. I think it could.
I think it can. So here's the thing. I think that as long as there's a sense of authenticity to the character that resonates with us, because this is the thing. In my stuff, like even in my horror stuff, Black people win. I think as long
Damn straight.
damn straight, exactly. How you gonna do Afrofuturist and Black people ain't winning? You know what I'm saying? Even in a horror,
Right.
you know, that's one of the things that resonate with Get Out. Wait, he went through hell, but guess what?
But he won.
He won. Exactly. So
Think of 10 movies right now where Black people survive. Like I do that all the time with people. Give me 10 movies right now where Black people survive. Horror movies. I'll wait. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there's more now. There's more now.
There's more now, but I'm like, man,
back in the day, though, back in the day, you were like Night of the Demons, and you know, I don't know, it was very short. But these
short. Then you got Tales from the Hood, Demon Knight, maybe.
Demon Knight.
I
mean, she's one of the first. She's one of the first Black final girls. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh, I know what you did last summer, part 2.
I know what you did last summer, Brandy. Anaconda.
Deep Blue Sea.
Deep Blue Sea, yeah.
So there's more now though. Like for instance,
can't even name kids because you
well, like his house, you know, they live, and also
his house.
Oh man, even that's a great movie. It's on Netflix. It's about these they're from the African diaspora. They're refugees from an African country. They go to Britain, but they bring this ghost with them.
Oh man,
that's really good, actually. Yeah.
Oh man. You talking about something that came out now? If we talk about stuff now,
it's like everybody. Yeah.
Jeepers Creepers, the psychic, she survived.
Yes.
Yeah, Jeepers Creepers, Jeepers Creepers, she survived. People forget that. People forget. People just remember what happened at the end.
These people live it. So yeah, I mean that's a whole new thing. That's actually it's now it's like cliche for Black people to die in movies now.
Right.
Yeah. So I think as consumers, you know, we get really passionate about this stuff, and these genre forms are like really niche though, man. You know, and you know, my mom got me hooked on this stuff when I was a kid. You know, she's a huge horror fan. She's a huge comics fan, and but it's still a very like small portion of like popular culture, you know, the comics in particular, you know, and I think you saw my post where like comic books are actually very booming right now. That they're not necessarily superhero comics, but the comics.
Yeah, but there's comics in general.
Like, for instance, if you look at like middle grade comics, I mean, Jerry Craft has sold hundreds of thousands of copies of his book, and he's Jerry Craft right now is probably one of the most successful black cartoonists to ever live now. He won the Coretta Scott King Award and the what was the other award he won simultaneously?
Wow.
Yeah,
that dude working.
Yeah, he's working. Yeah, he's been making. He co-founded the Harlem, you know, Schomburg Center piece. He actually, like, before he jumped off successfully, like, you know, in the mainstream, he actually had published like 27 books himself. You know, that he put out himself, right? He was an industry, right? And then he got signed with Scholastic, I think. And now, you know, New Kid and all those books, they are selling like hotcakes. He's one of the most successful black cartoonists to ever live now.
Wow.
But he's not making like superhero comics, you know, so he's making comics for kids. Raina Telgemeier sold 18 million copies of her book. And she's just writing about her life as a girl coming up in San Francisco, right? Jeff Kinney, he's the gentleman that created Diary of a Wimpy Kid. The man that created Comic Arts, Charlie Kochman, who gave me my imprint, that I have with Abrams. He discovered Jeff Kinney. Jeff Kinney has sold 250 million copies of that book. He has his own convention. He has a tour bus. He's also one of the nicest people you've ever meet. So comics are fine, right? But I do see like fanboys getting like, oh, you know, Thor is not this, and Superman, blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, this is small. Like when you look at the medium of comics, it's massive. It's a massive,
Right.
yeah. So for instance, I mean, our comics are doing pretty well. Like even though I launched Megascope in the middle of a pandemic, it's a best-selling book. We just we won a Hugo Award for for our adaptation. That's like winning an Oscar for like science fiction. So it's a
Right.
different game that we're playing. And so a lot of times we're not messing with a direct market. The direct market is just those comic book stores. That particular.
Right.
And
Right. You're trying to tap into everybody. You're trying to get everybody. It's just like reading a book. I try to tell people, man, reading a comic is just like reading a book. It's just it might be a little shorter,
yeah,
depending on like if you're lucky enough to get, the kind of art, the support and finance the fun of graphic novel, which is a lot easier for people to look at and follow because some people don't like, just reading page to page to page. But listen, Mr. Jennings, we are almost out of time, my
hey, I'm
brother.
sorry. Yeah,
Listen,
we good.
no, we going through it, man. It's like I think
Yeah,
it's about an hour, man.
I
We
need to come
go,
back. I need to come back.
yeah,
So
definitely do another episode. Definitely do another episode, brother Jenny. So you always welcome to come on, respect my nerds. You got anybody you want to shout out? And here we go. Here we go. I told you my phone acting crazy. My phone's acting crazy. My phone's crazy. Stop it. Stop it, phone.
no,
Stop it.
I can see you though. I can see you.
Yeah.
It's doing weird stuff.
You
Okay.
can see me. It's
I
got
can
me
see
like.
you. It's just it looks fine on my end.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to shout out. Well, actually, it's, one of the people I want to shout out. He's not a black creator, but he's a
That's fine.
R.C. Harvey. He just passed away July 7th. He's a really talented cartoonist and comic scholar, but he's one of the reasons why I met Damian Duffy actually, incidentally, and which kind of changed what I thought. Want to shout out Stacey Robinson, Stanford Carpenter, my wife and child, Tawana and Jackson, my nephew Alex. Yeah, and I want to shout out Jerry Kraft for being like just steadfast and working hard. Tertel Onlee, Afua Richardson, Ashley Amanda Woods, just all the creators out there who are making this work, for themselves. Johnny Christmas, the dude is killing it. By the way, you need to check out Johnny Christmas's work. Rob Guillory, my dude Rob Guillory, and the creative team for Bitterroot. So I can go on and on, what I'm saying, but it's but people, and also like a lot of the fiction writers, like Kiese Layman, my dude, my homeboy, Kiese Layman, Victor Laval, one of the nicest people that you would ever want to meet, but writes some of the most terrifying stuff. Tanana Reeve Due, Stephen Barnes, Nalo Hopkinson, Eddie Corford. These are, Shatasha Womack. These are like the vanguard. My girl, Angelique Roche, and also the Black Comics Lords. I love them. I love those brothers. Black Comic Lords. Damn, I love them. That's one of my favorite. They're some of my favorite people right now, besides yourself.
Right.
Yeah,
Appreciate you, man.
no, so that's it, man. I mean, I got more to say about this stuff, but it's like I love the passion that you have for the work, and you understand that there's a political, unfortunately there's a political aspect to it, because here's what's happened, right? There used to be, this is the last thing I'll say. It's like I feel that back in the day, right, people who are on the left and the right, whatever, were getting their information from the same credible source, right?
Right.
We had dependable news services that would actually, like, it was their job to tell us the truth about what was jumping off. That's why you get something like that's how you get something like a Watergate, right?
Right.
You have people who, basically you have a Republican dude who say, you know what, I can't do this. This is not right. That doesn't happen. The Republicans, the right now is very, very tainted by these these personal interests and stuff. And what's happened is you have an echo chamber of left-wing media, right-wing media, what have you. I mean, some of the more credible sources for news are actually outside of the country. People like the BBC and like Axios and stuff like that, right? Al Jazeera. What I'm saying, these different. They're actually still credible news sources. So
Right.
what happens is, we have like these conversations with ourselves, and then once we get on social media, you have people trolling each other and being disrespectful and not seeing the connections between each other, right?
Yeah, like I'll get that dude who just raised over like
it's more
$1.7 million.
It's close to 2.4. It's like 2 million now. You're talking about Ripper, young Ripper, Eric July.
Yeah, whoever this dude is, what I'm saying. Like, I'm happy for you. That's a landmark. That's prudence to what I said. make something authentic for us and where we are from a marketing standpoint and financial standpoint now is, like I was saying, you got to tap into the metaverse. Yeah, you got to tap into the metaverse. Man, you working a 9 to 5, and you create something. You can quit that 9 to 5, create something good for the people, and the people going to invest in it.
I mean,
what I'm saying?
on one side, that's amazing. This black man has done that. I don't agree with him politically, obviously.
Oh no, I was about to get into that. I was just about to get into that. No, you know me. You know me, John Jennings. Mr. Jennings, you know me. I speak the truth. You know what I mean? I can't, from a political standpoint, I have to explain something. There's a significant difference between you being a black person and having success and you doing something, you being black and doing something for the progression of black success. And them two completely different things, you know what I'm saying? Don't get them two misunderstood. And he really over here, they're really over here. And me as a black person, I'm like, okay, I'm happy for you, but that's nice, but I got to see results.
Well, my whole thing too is, when I saw the picture of him with Kyle Rittenhouse,
yeah.
I was like, okay, I really cannot get down with that. But
I can't support you. But what I'm saying, just to be able to see a black person be able to do that, I'm like, okay, are you tapping into black wealth?
No.
Or you tapping into everybody you just being a black person and that's what I was saying, like I can't have him disrespecting my uncle, Manuel Godoy, that's my family right there, that's people's. I understand there's a lot of controversy or conflict conflict of interest that go on in between, any source of like business. Everybody got something to say about somebody. And I would just say, I can't really fool with your man because you have the success. Do you over there? You ain't gotta mention my name. You gotta try to get clout off my name. You know, like that. That's like people can't just win. I've been over here doing my thing. Man, you do your thing. I ain't worried about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's what you want, I can't. I can't get down with that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it's just like,
and black people are not a monolith. That's the other thing too. So we have different opinions about the stuff that we consume, or what have you, and have created different constituencies. Like I said, we're not
one-dimensional.
Yeah, exactly.
You let the media tell people that black people only think like this. Black people want to act like that. Black people I'm like, no,
that's not the case at all. I want to say too, it's like, with the stuff that Marvel's been doing as far as the representation. I mean, I know it's a slippery slope, you know what I'm saying? Because I do know that there are people who are in these spaces who are trying to put out work that represents everybody. You know what I'm saying? I do.
Right, and that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. I'm just saying, don't replace my character. Don't replace me. Don't kill me just for somebody else, because now I can't do business with
you. Yeah, I can see that being the case too. And I'm sure that a lot of times they're not necessarily. There needs to be more black folk in those spaces making those decisions. The other thing too is that when you look at comics, a lot of times the writers, they're being directed by editors. They have particular things that they can and can't do according to the character.
You're gonna get critiqued like a mud. Hey, do this, rewrite this.
Not even critique. It's like, you can't do this because this thing is happening in this other book.
Right.
So it's like stuff like that too that's happening that you don't even know about, that's actually being developed at the same time, because Marvel as an entity is so large. They, like I said, they have multiple publishing partners. Like they have publishing deals with Abrams. They got publishing deals with like AK Press. I mean, not AK Press. What's the name of the people? Like you just saw Evan Narcisse. He's doing a book about the geography of Wakanda, right?
Oh wow,
that's a totally different book. It's a totally different publisher.
Right. Yeah. We out of time, brother Jennings. Like I want to put it. We out of time. Oh, dang. Listen, yeah, we had our mark. Listen, we had brother John Jennings, bro. It's been 3 or 4 years in the making to finally get the interview with this brother. We finally got him on Respect My Nerds. I know I normally will respect my nerds, but I know like people like the anime stuff, so I'll put on a one piece for y'all. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Listen, brother Jennings, we thank you so much for coming on, and you are always welcome to come back. I just want to get back into doing my interviews. I have so much fun doing them and just talking to so many different people, especially black people, and just listening to people talk about their craft. I think that's very important for like the youth to be able to listen to black people, be able to talk about their experiences and what they're doing. And it's just, I can do that too. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But brother Jennings, we out of time, man. we out of time, but we definitely gonna get you back on. Listen, man, y'all go support John Jennings at John Jennings. Let me see what his website is again. Oh yeah, JohnJenningsStudio.com. Y'all can always find him on Facebook and Instagram. This brother is just he the man. He the man. He's one out of a million. Y'all need to go support his books. I can go right on that website and make a purchase. Y'all support this man. Come on, black businesses. Well, let's do it, man. Mr. Jennings, we all on the time, brother. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see you again. All right.
All right, for sure.
All right, Nabo.
So I'm gonna pause.